This is a short calculator tutorial video, part one of graphing, where I will focus mainly on the graphing window. So first and foremost, whenever I graph, I'm always going to want to be in the y equals screen. As you can see, I'm on the home screen right now, where I was doing some arithmetic operations, so I'm going to click the y equals button to go to the graphing screen. Now before I actually graph something, first thing I want to point out to you is the mode key. If I click the mode button, there's a couple different types of graphing features that I can utilize. I'm going to hit the down arrow and go to the fourth line here. Right now I'm in function mode where it's blinking. I could graph in parametric mode by hitting enter to highlight that feature. I could highlight polar mode and hit enter to graph in polar, or I could highlight sequence graphing. Just real quick to illustrate to you, let's suppose I highlight polar there and hit enter. Now when I hit the y equals screen, I see equations r equals. Alright, now most classes, for college algebra in particular, we're going to be doing function graphing. So if I ever see my window, graphing y equals window, say something other than y equals, no big deal. I'll just go to the mode key and highlight function mode, the first option there, and hit enter to darken that choice. And now when I hit the y equals button, it didn't darken it, did it? Okay, so let me go back, highlight function, hit enter, there we go. Now it's darkened, and I hit y equals, and there's the y equals screen. Okay, so in order to graph any function on my calculator, I have to have the equation solved for y. So over here on the left, you'll see that I have, here's an equation that I want to graph. It's a line, and in order to graph any equation, whether it's a line or not, I need to solve for y. So you can see I add 8x to both sides, then I divide both sides by 2 to solve for y. So in my calculator, I'm going to punch in that equation. So my blinking cursor is under y1. Now this is y1, y2, y3, y4, y5. The calculator will allow me to graph multiple equations simultaneously. I'm only wishing to graph one equation at the moment, but I could graph multiple equations simultaneously. In this case, I want to graph y equals 4x minus 5, so I'm going to punch 4. And then up here is the variable button. I'm always going to want to use this as my variable. So if I'm in function mode, it gives me the x. If I was in parametric mode, it would give me the t that's on this button. If I was in polar mode, where we saw the r equals, I would use this button and it would give me theta, and sequence mode would give me n. So I always want to use this as my x, not the alpha green x, which is where? Right here. Here in green is x. I never want to do alpha and that store button to get x. I always want to use that x button there. So 4x minus 5, and I'm going to hit enter. Now if I wanted to graph a second equation, right here my blinking cursor is in y2, I could punch in a second equation, 6x plus 1, let's say. I don't want to do that, so let me hit clear. But I could hit multiple equations at one time if I want. Now let me go ahead and hit the graph key, and the graph button takes me to, here's a picture of my graph. Now real quick, I want to have a note about the viewing window. Now on my viewing window, it appears that I'm graphing from 1, 2, 3, 4, looks like about 5 on the x-axis, 1, 2, 3, 4, -5. So about -5 to +5 on the x-axis, 1, 2, 3, about -3 to +3 on the y-axis. Now if I hit the window button, we can see here those actual values. So there's an x min and an x max. I could graph from -20, hit enter, to +23 for some reason. Let's say I wanted to do that, hit enter. Okay. If I hit the graph key now, I want to reset my window with that x min and x max as I prescribed. One other thing I want to point out to you is back in the window, the x scale tells the calculator how many places to put those tick marks. So if I change the X scale to 5, each of the tick marks will be units of 5 apart. I hit graph. Now those tick marks are 5 apart. So here's positive 5, positive 10, positive 15, positive 20, negative 5, negative 10, negative 15, negative 20. Alright, so if I go back to window, let's say I want to change my Y min and Y max. Let's say I want to go negative 30, hit enter, to positive 30. Hit enter and say I want to do a Y scale of 10 for some strange reason. Let's say if that's what I wanted to do, I hit graph. So here's my negative 20 to positive 23 I think I picked. The X scale was 5. Those are tick marks of 5. And then my Y min was what, negative 30 to positive 30 with tick marks every 10. So here's negative 10, negative 20, negative 30, positive 10, positive 20, positive 30. So I have the option of changing my viewing window to whatever size I want to view whatever portion of the graph I want. Remember, this graph continues forever in that direction and forever in that direction. And I'm only looking at a specific portion of that graph. If I ever mess up my window values and I want to go back to a standard window, under the zoom key, number 6, I'm going to punch number 6 here and have a zoom standard. The zoom standard resets the window to be minus 10 to 10 on the x-axis with an x scale of 1 and a y min of negative 10, a y max of positive 10 with a y scale of 1. We can see that right there. So if I'm ever doing some strange stuff with my window and I want to reset it kind of to a normal viewing window, the zoom standard, zoom number 6 is what gave me that option. There's a couple other zoom features here as well I'll point out to you real quick. The zoom decimal, number 4, if I hit enter, if I choose 4, it takes me back to actually the original window that I was in. If I go back to window real quick, you'll see there was that negative 4 to 4, negative 3 to 3 that we originally started off in. The advantage to this really is that it kind of zooms into the origin a little bit, and when I hit the trace key it gives me decimal, nice pretty decimal values. You can see 0.3, negative 3.8, 0.4, negative 3.4. It gives me some really pretty decimal values there. Okay. If I was in a zoom standard window, let me go back to zoom 6, and I were to hit the trace key, you'll notice that the values start to kind of ugly looking. They're not very pretty numbers. So really the only advantage to the zoom decimal is that it zooms into the origin and sets the window in such a manner that as you trace, it traces along some kind of pretty numbers, if you will. Thank you for watching part 1 of a graphing tutorial.